Hello, hello. Welcome to Cafecito con Ace. I'm Ayla Jallo. I lead the Amigahood community here under the leadership of Ace. We are a global community for professional, creative, and entrepreneurial Latinas. I'm excited to host today's Cafecito con Ace with a very special guest who I will introduce momentarily. But before we get into the conversation, I want to talk a little bit about ASE and give some quick announcements. So if this is your first time engaging with ASE, you've never heard of us, we are a national nonprofit dedicated to the employment, development, and advancement of current and aspiring Latino professionals. And we've been around since 1982. And we're actually coming off the heels of a very successful summit, our 2026 Leadership Summit in Chicago called Breaking Barreras. So if you missed it, don't worry, we've got you covered. We're actually having a virtual summit called Breaking Barreras Beyond the Stage on May 20th. So look out for the link for that if you're interested in joining us. We're going to keep the momentum going with powerful sessions on inclusive leadership, innovation, and career growth featuring expert insights, real conversations, and a community of barrier breakers. So save your spot by visiting the link in the chat or visit us at aceonline.org. And also, we have our applications for fall leadership programs opening soon, so stay tuned on our social media channels for updates, deadlines, and how to apply. All right, now let's get into the conversation because we have someone very special joining us today. And we wanted to have this guest this month, kicking off May for Small Business Month. So I'm excited to introduce you to Ashley Stoyanov Ojeda. Ashley is a business strategist and author, a first-generation Latina from Queens, now building in Portland, Oregon. She's a business strategist, keynote speaker, and author who has spent the last decade doing one thing in different ways, building resources, rooms, and roadmaps for people who have historically been left out of them. So definitely a lot of alignment with what we're doing here at ASE. Ashley is the founder of The Reframe, a consultancy helping organizations build real trust with underrepresented communities in the Jefa and Training Circle, a membership comunidad for Latinas who are done building alone. She's also a two-time published author. Her first book, Jefa and Training, the first Spanglish business launching toolkit for Latinas, endorsed by Eva Longoria, is now in its second edition. And her latest, The Book of Awesome Latinas, is co-authored with Myrtle Peña Calderon, reclaims the legacies of trailblazing Latinas and Indigenous women the mainstream forgot to tell us about. Ashley, what an introduction. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited for today's conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
We are too. So first things first, this is Cafecito con Ace, so please tell us, how do you like your cafecito prepared? What is your morning beverage of choice? I have my little cafecito here.
I have mine too, but at home I have an espresso at home, and I love my Nespresso. But since I'm at my parents' house, they only drink drip coffee. So that's what I'm having today. But I normally prefer my espresso with almond milk and a little bit of honey and vanilla.
Oh, that sounds so good. Yeah,
Yes.
I like my cafecito pretty simple, oat milk with some brown sugar. But if I'm at a coffee shop and I want to get a little fancy, I'll be that person and be like, "Do you have Biscoff?" I think that's like the new thing. Do you have the
Do love Biscoff.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Ashley, for joining us. So we had a very robust intro, okay? You have done so much for Latinas. We'd love to learn a little bit more about you. Can you share a bit about your cultural background and also your current career?
Yes, for sure. I am first generation Mexican American, well, French American. My mom is in Morelia, Michoacan, and I grew up going there every summer. So it is like my second home. I haven't been there in a year now because I was pregnant, then I had a baby, and now I feel like I'm like having Mexico withdrawals, and I'm like dying to go back and bring him. And then my dad is first generation French American, but if you ask him, he'll be like, I'm from Queens. So I'm a very proud New Yorker, but also a very proud Moreliana. And then as far as my career goes, I've had many pivots and industry shifts, but at the end of the day, when we kind of zoom out of everything that we've done thus far, I feel like there's always a common thread, right? And I always talk about this, but years ago I saw this thing on Instagram that was like, never tie yourself to a job, but more of like tie yourself to your personal why, right?
Mhm.
And I think, and I even write that, and I think in the very first chapter of Jefa training, and that's always hit home for me, because if somebody asks me like, oh, what do you see yourself doing in 5 or 10 years? I'll be like, girl, I have no idea, but it will probably be similar to what I'm doing now in terms of creating resources for people like me who didn't really grow up with them, in terms of, paving our own paths and entrepreneurship being a part of that. And now, writing books and telling our stories. Like, we need more Latinas writing books. We're still like under 6% of published authors, traditionally published authors. And there's been a lot more coming out since I launched my first book, which is so exciting. But it's still, we're at the bare minimum right now, and the industry needs to catch up. So my job as a strategist is really to help these underrepresented voices and entrepreneurs grow and build as a thought partner, as a strategist, and really just someone to have in your corner.
Wow. You are doing incredible work, Ashley. Thank you for your dedication to Latinas, to our community, and making sure that not only, our stories are told, but that we're the ones that are telling them, and we're the ones that are creating, the openings, right, within these industries. And so, like you said, your mission is always going to be the same, but in different seasons of life, how you do that is what differs. So I love that. I love that you pointed that out. And also now as a new mom too, I'm sure how things have evolved for you, and kind of where you want to spend your time and your energy and also your capacity has differed a lot. And at the same time, I'm sure your mission is just that much more stronger, right? Because now you literally have the next generation that you're raising, and you want to create a better life for him, and and if you have more for those are children, right?
Oh yeah, I think I haven't had this much clarity about what's next for me in a long time, and now it's just the point where like I need the time. I'm like, I'm so tired. I'm so tired, but also so happy, and I feel like I am at my best creativity level right now.
Yeah.
And because I've been kind of restructuring a lot of things behind the scenes, I feel like a lot of things are clicking into place at the same time. So it's definitely been a season of experimentation with like the balance.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for it. I'm excited for it.
Well, we're excited to support you and see what comes of this season that you're in. So, you are a first generation Latina. We'd love to know, what challenges did you face navigating business spaces that weren't built with you in mind?
I mean, probably everyone who's listening can relate. So I accidentally started my first business. And of course the lawn guys start. I think we can
Okay.
start. Um, anyway, so I actually started my first business, or my first socialpreneurship venture, by accident right out of school. I was in the music industry, and I started a nonprofit for women in music, women songwriters specifically, to connect with each other, share resources, have educational events, kind of like what I'm doing now for the Hispanic training circle, but within women songwriters. And I had no idea what I was doing. At the time, I really only knew how to promote and get people out to events and build community, right? Because I had been doing that, whether I noticed it or not, for a long time. And so the community grew very, very quickly to 10,000 people across North America. And within the first year, we were doing events in 16 different cities. And it was just me and a team of volunteers that I had just kind of built because they loved it and they wanted to help grow the mission. And by year 3, I was kind of really in the weeds, and we had had so much success and created so much impact. But I realized after our first South by Southwest showcase, when we had hundreds of people come and performers from all over the country, that I couldn't really grow anymore because the foundation had never really been set. So I did everything that I could think of, right? I read all of the business books and the podcasts and the blogs and whatever we were doing back in, 2017, I guess, almost 10 years ago. And I just couldn't get into the business books. I couldn't get into them. I would start, they would feel outdated, kind of out of touch with how I grew up. So many of them are written by already wealthy people. So it's very easy for them to say, like, oh, my dad gave me $1 million and starting a business is easy and you can do it too. And I started thinking it would be so great if somebody like me wrote a book on like a step-by-step guide to building your business with insights from other people like me. I thought about the idea. I tabled it for a while because I was like, I don't think anybody's giving me a shot at writing a book.
Mm-hmm.
And I even like met with a book coach, and she told me that my idea was like too niche, and so I got really discouraged.
Wow.
And I tabled it, and then by accident, while I was working on a project for a client, actually I was working with the Mujerista at the time to build their online community in the beginning of COVID. I accidentally met an editor who was just kind of like, hey, I really like your vibe and like everything that you're doing. Are you writing a book? And I was like, oh my God, how did she know? And so I stayed up all night working on the proposal. She loved the idea. And at the time, that publisher was like, the team was like 85% Latina. So they like really fought for the book to be given a shot because they saw the need for it. And that's how Jefa in Training was born. And now it's been 4 years since that, which seems crazy. It's gone by so fast. And yeah, I guess that was like my big motivator, right? It's like I faced, not knowing people who could advise me on getting funding, right? And people who couldn't advise me on, how to make sure things were running as an organization, not just kind of like a free-for-all. And yeah, I didn't know, and everything else seemed so unapproachable. So I really wanted to create things that felt better, more safe.
Yeah, more and something that you could see yourself in, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a really powerful message, Ashley, like a lesson in what you just said. Because you're reading these business books and saying, wow, wouldn't it be cool if somebody, right, not thinking like I would be the one, but if somebody could do this. And oftentimes when we have that question, wouldn't it be cool if, or wouldn't it be great if somebody ... typically like you are the one that's supposed to do it, right? And that's kind of just how things start. And it really just takes you saying yes to that vision. And then the help, the resources, the people just show up out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened with you. And I think there's a lesson in that for everyone watching is whatever idea that you have, something that's been tugging on your heart, that like just won't leave you alone, just keeps nagging you, this little whisper, and you're looking around like, yeah, I think that would be a great idea. Who's doing it? It's supposed to be you.
I actually say that. I think it's in the intro of Hifan training. It's like if you take away anything from this book, it's that if you feel there is a need for something, you're probably not the only one. And I always tell my clients, I'm like, just go for it. Just go for it. So if you're a risk averse person, we're probably not a match. But but like, I truly believe that if we don't bet on ourselves and our ideas, no one else is going to.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to start our own movements. I've started saying, I updated, I think, my LinkedIn to like, call me if you need someone to build a movement or something like that.
I love that.
But I mean, it's true, right? I look at everything because books can be movements, right? Communities are movements. Everything, businesses can be movements. So I think, build your own.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't even think, or I would say, Latinos, like naturally, we are not averse because of who we come from. Like, just look at your lineage. That's not even in our blood, right? To shrink and like be too afraid to move. Being afraid is fine. That's human, but are people, we move anyway. So it's in you. It's already in you, and you embody that, Ashley. For Latinas looking to start or grow a business, what's one mindset shift that can make all the difference?
For me, what took me a long time, which ended up hurting me a lot instead of helping me, was learning to ask for help. I thought I had to have all of the answers. I still sometimes kind of revert back to that mentality, but getting out of it has really helped my journey with motherhood as well. Because sometimes we need help. We are superwoman, but
Yeah.
we are until we're tired, and then it's not a bad thing to call somebody for help. And I feel the same way about business, right? At the end of the day, we're not expected to know everything, and I thought if I asked for help, people wouldn't take me seriously, and people would think, oh, well, she doesn't know what she's doing. But at the end of the day, like, if we can learn from people who are more experienced, we're only going to become better leaders because of that. And I wish that I had done that sooner.
Mm. Yeah, and that's so real, because there's so many, it's like literally ingrained, um, that if you ask for help, that you're seen as weak, that you're not seen as capable, and that's something that we all can unlearn. So it's, yeah, that's really resonating because culturally, that's just also what we've been so used to, right? You're seen as strong when you do it all. You're seen as valuable when you're able to take care of everybody. But to actually take care of yourself, to actually say, actually, I'm tired. I need help. I need support. Or I actually don't know the answer. I don't know the answer, and I'm still hella smart. I
Yeah.
don't know the answer, and I'm still very capable. In fact, that like makes you even more wise to recognize I am surrounded by people who are smart too, who have the answer, who know someone who does. It's very wise to lean on your community and to lean on the resources and the magic that everyone brings, and recognize this is mine too, simply because I'm connected, so I could give, and also I'm worthy of receiving too. I deserve that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think even now, with clients, like sometimes they ask me things and I'm like, girl, I'm good at a lot of things, but that's not one of them. But I will help you find somebody that is. And I think recognizing that, especially if you're like a coach or consultant, is the best thing you can do, because I feel like that's part of like the trust building process with your clients. It's like
Yeah.
transparency, Don't go doing a quick Google search to like make up an answer or ask ChatGPT. Like find an expert, please.
Yeah. 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 That is so true. And yeah, and like trusting that those people are out there, those resources are out there, that answer is near you also is building your own self-trust. Like self-trust isn't necessarily I have the answers. It's I know I can find it. I know I can get it. I know that it's near me. I know that what I'm searching for within reach.
And also trusting that you have a lot to offer
Hmm.
already. So
Yeah.
you don't have to know everything, that your clients or potential clients are already looking for what you have to offer. And that's why they're here. And then everything else is just a bonus.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for that reframe, Ashley. Okay, so you talked about Jefas in training, but you actually have a new book also called Awesome Latinas. Why was it important for you to create something that reflects how we speak and live? And can you talk a little bit about how this book even came about?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I co authored this book with one of my very best friends, longtime Latino media journalist, Myrtle Peña Calderon. Hi, girl, if you're watching. I am excited to share this project. We are excited to share this project because it is a very interesting time in the world right now, and there's a lot of erasure that's happening and book bans that are trying to get passed. And I think now more than ever, while it's a tricky time to be an author that gets deals like this, to publish work like this, our community needs it more than ever. We need to be reading more stories about us, writing more stories about us. And the cool part about our book is that it covers Latinas from all over the globe, from past and present time. So we've got Latinas from the 1600s to present day. And the process of writing was really something. It took like 2 years of research, and nailing down who to actually include and who not to include was the hardest part. So we're really hoping that this book does well so that we can get a part two and three and four. But until then, we did also start an Awesome Latinas Substack, quick plug, so that we can continue the conversations over there. But I think that I got asked to do this book. Actually, I got asked if I could do it because it's part of a series that our publisher has done in the past. So they have the Book of Awesome Black Women, the Book of Awesome Girls, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they already knew my work from Jefa training. So they were like, hey, would you want to do this? And then I brought in Myrtle. And at the time, I was just like, I don't know if I'm the right person to write this book because I've never been a history lover. And I actually just wrote about this in an op-ed that I did for Me Too. I'm pretty sure I failed history in school. But then I realized that I thought I didn't like history because the history that we were taught in schools wasn't actually about anyone like us.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I started thinking, what could it be like if we had a book like this when we were in middle school, in high school?
Oh, yeah.
And so that's kind of how it all came about. It's just like you were saying, I think even I went through a couple of years of infertility and it was really hard. But even from that moment, I did feel like I'm going to be a mom one day and I need to start making the world a better place for the next generation, and no matter what happens. And I really wanted to do something that could be contributing to that.
Wow, Ashley. I mean, you already are. You are contributing. And to your point about hopefully there's a second and third edition. Well, yeah, hopefully there is. And it takes us Latinas, right? Recognizing I am an awesome Latina and I am gonna take up more space so that we can be in that book, right? It takes us saying yes to these visions and downloads that we get, and doing something worth writing about. We already we know what that is. It's within us. It's really about just saying yes. Ashley, thank you for taking on the challenge.
Yeah.
doing.
And I just want to say something to everybody who might be watching who's like, oh man, writing a book sounds good one day. Like, I really want to share my story. Don't wait for the book. I talked to an agent last year who gave me some really great advice, which was start sharing your story now. Don't wait for the book deal, because chances are you can hit more people with a video on TikTok or Instagram than you can with an actual book. And if you get the opportunity to get a book deal, or if you want to self-publish, like there's a lot of options now, great, but you don't need a book to start sharing your story and start making other people feel seen and growing your community. And especially now that, long form writing is back and people are starting video podcasts and, just consuming that kind of content again, right? Long form. That's why Substack is so popular right now. There's a couple other ones.
To get our brain cells back.
Yeah, like there's a lot of opportunity there for these kinds of newsletters and blogs and things like that. So yeah, I'm the state of the world is questionable, but at the same time, I feel like if we are able to keep showing up for our community and sharing our stories, we should. Absolutely. We got to keep on keeping on.
Yeah. Thanks for naming that, Ashley. Yeah, there's so many, living in the age that we live in. And I joke, getting our brain cells back about having more long form writing. But the reality is tech is evolving. There are more ways for storytelling, thankfully, and for your story to be consumed in different ways, right? You could do the podcast, you could do the Substack, you could even, write something on LinkedIn, wherever you are. Just start speaking, just start saying, you know what, I have something worth sharing. And it doesn't matter if it's one person who reads and resonates, if it's 100, 1,000, whatever. It's the point that you are saying yes to yourself and recognizing, yeah, what I have to say is it matters. It matters. It matters to me. And so I know it matters to someone else too. If you have any questions, audience, whoever's live with us, be sure to drop it in the chat. We just have a couple more questions for Ashley, so want to make sure we get your question in before we wrap up. So going back to your first book, Ashley, Jefa's in Training, now in its second edition, what has evolved for you since the first release? I guess that's the way that question is written. How has it evolved for you? Like the book actually evolved, but also you as a person, how have you evolved since you first wrote the book?
I mean, I'm a completely different person now. And that's, I'm manifesting updated editions of Jefa in Training. I may or may not be having those conversations soon.
You heard it here
first. And if you've read Jefa in Training and actually get in touch with me, because I am doing some Margaret research for a related project. So it'd be really helpful to hear from readers. And if you haven't read it, go and grab it. When the second edition came out last year, it was like right around the time that I found out that I was pregnant, and I was just so tired those first 3 months that I didn't really get to promote it too much, which is unfortunate, because I had one of my mentors, my one of the people in the industry that I admire the most, Beatriz Acevedo, write the foreword for the book. And she did such an amazing job. And it's a really good read, and I hope more people get the chance to see it.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, we will do what we can to support as well. All right, let's see if we have any questions before we wrap up. You've said so many great things here, Ashley, that I'm still even downloading in my mind. So thank you for sharing space with us. Kaylee is asking, where can we find the book?
Great question. Anywhere you can buy books. It's available on Amazon. I would prefer it if you supported an indie bookstore. Bookshop.org makes it easy. Latina-owned bookstores. We actually made a list of Latina-owned bookstores on the Awesome Latinas Substack. I'm happy to link it in the video. afterwards in case anyone wants to go and support.
Amazing. Thank you, Ashley. All right. Well, last question before you wrap up. What advice would you give to someone who feels like they don't belong in spaces they're in?
Oof, that's a great question. I can tell you what I did. I created an alter ego. I created an alter ego. And you know that expression, like fake it till you make it?
Mm-hmm.
I definitely did that. Like when I, was not feeling confident, I acted really confident. And I felt like the more I did that, I kind of tricked myself into believing these things, right? I had this vision of like what Jefa Ashley like dressed like and spoke like and the kinds of stages she was on. And I just showed up as my alter ego, Jefa Ashley, until I became Jefa Ashley, and it happened very quickly after that. So I would say if you need to create your own version of that, I know a lot of people that do it, and it works.
I love that advice, Ashley. So much alignment between what you're doing and what we talk about in the Amiga Hood. Well, thank you, Ashley. I'm gonna, or Jefa Ashley, I should say. I'm gonna think of my alter ego name. I encourage everyone watching to also do the same.
Got your Jefa names.
Well, thank you again for joining us for this session of Cafecito con Ace. Again, audience, please engage with us, support us. We're all about supporting Latinos in their careers, and that could look like a traditional career or, as Ashley described, something really kind of curvy and and really creating a new reality for yourself based on what you,
I believe they're called portfolio careers.
Yeah, portfolio careers. I love that. All right. Well, thank you. We'll see everyone at the next Cafecito. And Ashley, we'll support your book. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.